What's up? Today I've got a simple, aggressive opening for black against the white's first move pawn e4 that is guaranteed to bring you a lot of nice victories. I'm Grandmaster Igor Smirnov and let me share this with you right now. Not too long ago I was analyzing the Portuguese Gambit actually, which is another opening, not the one I'm going to share with you today. The Portuguese Gambit happens after these first opening moves where you seemingly get into the Scandinavian Defense, but then you transition to something else. And in this position the main move for white is pawn d4. And from there you can transition into the Portuguese Gambit by playing bishop g4. Very good opening, very aggressive. I've recorded in the past already a video about this, so you may check this out later, where I show also different first moves that white can choose to play against you, and it's a really good opening, one of the best ones against the white's first move pawn e4, but that's not what we're going to be talking about today, because not too long ago, analyzing this variation, I found one more way to play this for black, which is also very interesting. It is the so-called Kadas Gambit. You've probably never heard of this before. Neither have I, but it turned out to be a really dangerous opening weapon. So you keep sacrificing pawns here for quick development. You play first pawn c6, offering this pawn to capture, and then all of a sudden pawn e5. You're literally going all out, trying to speed up your development as quick as possible, opening lines, and going after the white's king. Now, what should we say about this? Well, first of all, if you are Firouzja or Caruana, you're preparing for the candidates, then probably it's not the best opening for you to pick, okay? And Carlsen won't run away seeing this, he will figure out how to defend playing white. But if you're an average player and you love playing online blitz games, this will work for sure. Now, white usually captures here on e5, because why not, or else you will start recapturing the pawns back. So the white's natural response would be capturing here on e5, and after that you can trade queens on d1, which forces the king to move, and after that you play knight g4, hitting this pawn on f2, which will also fork the king and the rook. Therefore, white needs to do something to defend that pawn. Usually, they play knight h3. We will also analyze a few other moves that your opponents are most likely to choose here. And knight h3 is already wrong, even though it's the most played move in this position, but it basically loses any advantage that white could possibly have. Now you just take knight takes c6, and you have a very easy game. You also start getting back your material. You picked up one pawn, now you're attacking twice the central pawn on e5, you're going to capture it as well. The only way for white to defend it would be playing pawn f4. After that, there is a classical attacking plan for you. You play bishop f5, not only developing a bishop here to this active position, but also preparing to castle queenside, which will put your rook to an open file and will hit the white's king automatically. Now, what can white do about this? Well, it's not that easy to prevent this plan, so your opponents will try naturally to cover the king by playing bishop d3. Now, you castle queenside indeed, pinning the bishop and also attacking it because it's also under the attack of your bishop from f5. What can white do now? Well, there's not much they can do really. You're going to capture this bishop, maybe with your bishop, maybe actually with your knight, that way to save your attack, so that's also a really good option for black. What can white do? Perhaps they want to defend this bishop, right? So they're going to play king to e2, but now it fails to knight d4 check. You just keep attacking. And that's the beauty of this gambit. You sacrificed a few pawns for quick development, but now you're way ahead in activity and you can start attacking white right away. What can white do now? The king is under the check, it needs to move. It can't go there, because in that case it fails to knight to c2 going after the rook. You can first trade bishops away, and after that just knight to c2, simply winning the rook in the corner. The rook can't move, therefore it will be captured on the next move. That is definitely losing. Let's take it back. What if the king moves back to d file? Then you have another killing blow, knight takes c2. It's not even a sacrifice, because due to this pin we're going to win this bishop and we're going to keep attacking the king. The king is forced to take here, and now you could take with the bishop, but even stronger is to take it with the rook, setting it up for a discovered check on the next move. For example, you can just grab this knight on h3 with check and continue attacking white's king. Actually, white's king is really in big trouble, right? You can see that it's completely limited and you're going to keep attacking it. So that's how the games usually go when you play these unusual Kadas Gambit. But anyway, let me show you a couple other ways that white can try to refute your gambit. Alright, so let's go over this once again. You start sacrificing pawns for quick development and to open up files. White will, in most of the cases, start capturing them. Then you trade queens, forcing the king to move, therefore it can't castle anymore and it's centralized, which is really great for your future attack. Now you go knight g4, starting to create threats. The first threat is knight takes f2. What can white do about this? In the previous line, we analyzed that knight h3 is not a serious move. Black just recaptures, getting a great game. Another option for white would be to move their king back to e1, trying to defend the pawn and potentially to keep the king to a more defended position, but it fails just as well. You play bishop c5. You simply renew the threat to the pawn. Probably you're going to grab it with the knight, because from there it can also hit the rook on h1. And that basically turns it into variations highly similar to what we have just analyzed. White will still need to defend this pawn, and after knight h3, you still take on c6, and we basically get all the same position. You're still threatening this pawn on e5. If they play f4, your plan is still the same. You want to finish your development as quick as possible and start attacking. You play bishop f5, putting the bishop to this open position, attacking the pawn, and preparing to castle queenside. If they play bishop d3, that you trade bishops, because if not, they can capture it. So you're gonna trade bishops here, and even though you could castle here, it's a good move. Even stronger for black is playing f6. You want to open up this e-file where the white king stands, so that you can take aim at it on the next moves. So after an exchange here on f6, believe it or not, this position is already completely lost for white. If they play any move, doesn't really matter. You just castle queenside, continuing your plan. On the next move, you're going to play rook e8, centralizing the rook, and you just start attacking white with the joint effort of your entire army. While the white's pieces are completely disorganized and they can't really do anything. Your rooks are extremely active. This knight on h3 does nothing, can't really move at all. Your knight from c6 can jump there on d4 or maybe on b4, hitting the c2 square, hitting the pawn on d3. You just have so many threats, too much for white to handle. Now, I do understand that some of you will write in comments like, Igor, what if I play some other moves, the ones that I didn't cover in this video? Well, in that case, chess is endless game. Yeah, it's not checkers, right? So, and it's great. So I cannot show you all the variations. And of course, your opponent can play some weird move that I didn't analyze so far. But, you just need to learn how to find proper attacking moves. If you want to dive deeper into this, I've got a free masterclass. You may click the link below the video or on the screen and get there, and you'll see how to find proper attacking moves in any position, which is a universal method, and then you'll know how to react and how to play gambits properly. Anyway, if you're playing gambits, you need to develop your attacking skills. And here is the final try for white to refute your gambit, which is approved by Stockfish. Stockfish says that if white captures here on b7, it's +2 or +3 for white is completely winning. But when he checked it in the database of real-life games, actually black is the one who's winning most of the games. Therefore, I would not just believe to the computer evaluation blindly, because it's very different to be a computer and a human being. I hope it makes sense. Okay, so anyway, white needs to defend this pawn still. And if they still play knight h3, guess what? Your plan doesn't change at all. You just keep playing all the same moves. Knight c6, hitting this pawn potentially. If they defend it, you castle queenside, check to the king. It's all the same stuff that we have analyzed in previous lines. You can see that your plan is always the same, basically. If king goes to e1, now you can attack once again this pawn on c2 with your knight, playing knight at e4, and it opens up for quite a lot of threats. So knight to c2 will be a major issue for white, because that will also create this fork to the king on rook. The pawn cannot be defended by the knight, because then you can just eliminate it. That doesn't help. If white tries to defend it by the bishop, then it fails to another tactics. Bishop takes g2. The bishop abandoned the g2 pawn, and now we can just pick it up, taking the rook, taking the knight. Also, if the rook moves, you've got another tactics to follow up, knight to f3, forking the other rook and the king. So you really have a lot here. Your other bishop will join the party on the next move probably, and you're having still a great position. So yeah, what more can you ask for playing black, you know? Getting in a position like that should be a dream come true for black against e4. All in all, you can see that this Kadas Gambit is an extremely dangerous opening weapon, and don't trust computer who tells you that white is easily winning. That's just not true when you're playing against real humans. I will link the other video over there where I analyze the Portuguese Gambit, which is closely connected to the one we discussed today, and I do encourage you to play both of them because they actually complement each other really well and you can switch over between them. It's a great opening weapon for black against first move pawn e4. Also, consider subscribing and hitting the bell to not miss out on future videos. Wish you all the best, take care.